Welcome to the Hub Podcast. I'm your host, Cheney Passer, and right away from the top, we're going to give you a moment of silence to like and subscribe to the channel. Okay, great. Now that you've done that, with me is Courtney Briggs.
Corky 5.
And she's going to tell you about Wander Parlor.
Yes. So the face masks that we were talking about in the last podcast, 2 podcasts ago, I just dropped the review video on our channel. So once you're done with this video, we will link to that video and you can pop over there and look at that.
You dropped it?
I dropped it. And if you don't want to look at it that way, go to our Instagram and there's also a link on there to that. But I go through kind of a little bit more in depth of what the product is, how I like it, even me putting it on in the video. So go check that out because it's pretty awesome. And we get 15% off of the Wander Parlor. So go to the Wander Parlor and type in, once you check out, the Hub 15 and you get 15% off. And it's not even just the face mask. Look on the rest of their Shopify or look on their website. Like, they have some awesome stuff. If you are searching for clean and eco-friendly products, that's why I like it so much too, because it's just, like I said in the last podcast, it's the hub of a bunch of different companies working together to give us clean, eco-friendly, sustainable products that we can trust, whether it's from skincare to hair care to beard care to just overall fun, like even just their packaging, and they have makeup bags and that kind of stuff too. So check that out.
Yeah, cool. We got an opportunity to work with Evolution Nutrition, and they sent us some pre-workouts to try because we are pre-workout enthusiasts. So we will have a review video coming out of that as well, but we wanted to bring it up and talk about it a little bit on the podcast just because, you know, it was a cool opportunity for us and we're excited about it, and like we enjoyed it. So
yeah,
there'll be some photo or something around me showing you what it is, but Evolution Nutrition pre-workout.
Engine pre-workout is the
Engine. It was good. I liked it.
Yeah. It was some of my favorite flavors that I've ever had.
Yeah.
We got the blue raz and they have a grape flavor. The grape flavor was my favorite. I haven't really tasted something that tasted so similar to something else and it didn't just taste like, oh, this is super sugary, or
Yeah.
I don't know, like the blue raz is good, but you can find that everywhere. That I liked that there was a, kind of a unique flavor. And the grape, the one that I reviewed in the video, it tasted like I said, like a grape bubble gum or a grape soda, and you just don't get that like imitation flavor really anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was like a nostalgic flavor.
Well, I think I remember you saying too, like it was refreshing more than just like the pre-workout kind of vibe that they usually have, where kind of like you said, sugary and whatnot. It was more of like more refreshing. So definitely one of those that's more enjoyable to drink.
Mm-hmm. It would be a great like summer pre-workout.
Yeah.
Like if you're hot or you're going to work out outside or something like that, that over ice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, it was good. So we're giving them a shout out and a thanks for sending us stuff. It was fun and it's awesome. We hope we can maybe
continue to work with you.
Yeah, work with them again or more, and yeah.
Cool. I'll try all your pre-workouts.
Yeah. Yeah, any of them.
Okay, should we get into
let's do
the
it.
ep?
Yeah.
What episode is this?
26.
26.
Unless it sucks, then it's getting thrown out.
Okay, so we're going to, like we have been doing lately, we've been interacting with our listeners, the few of you that there are. I appreciate you. And like we have requested in every single video, we want to answer questions that are directed towards your journey and what you're wanting to know and what you're confused about. That's what we want to bring to the surface and kind of give you some guidance with that. So first question, they're kind of going to be coupled questions together, but first one is kind of just like, how do you know what a perfect rep range is or set range, or how do you know, like, just kind of, am I doing the right thing? Yeah, or the optimal rep range or set. And then we're going to couple that with also how do we make a program?
Yeah. Well, and I think we're kind of combining the two, and I think we can just
flow in
start
between
from
both.
start from kind of square one, and just they're gonna answer each other's questions in a sense. So um, I think with the programming part of it, or just whenever you're starting something like this, you got to ask yourself a couple questions, and one of them being is just like, where do I want to go? What is my goal with this? Am I trying to lose weight? Am I trying to put on muscle? Am I trying to like gain weight? Am I trying to, get better at my squat? There's so many different things that it could be, very specific or general. But you kind of got to figure out what you're wanting to do, and then that is more so going to direct you in how the programming should go after that.
It's kind of just like how I don't know, I see life, but it's more specific to programming of figure out your why so then you can figure out your how. If you can answer all those questions for yourself, you're going to have a very clear path to what the end goal is generally supposed to be, or what you're at least in what direction you're wanting to go. That then you can figure out the steps and the how to get there. But I think a lot of the time we're just like, well, I want to lose weight, or I want to, like get better. I think they're so general that if you can almost narrow it in, and it doesn't have to be super specific of like, I want to build out my glutes or I want to build out my hamstrings and that's all I'm focusing on. But I think having like you said, asking yourself the questions first before you start just diving into it and then guessing.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, it's literally just like, oh, I need to start going to the gym again. So then they sign up for Orange Theory, or they sign up to group fitness classes, and they never really sit down and figure out what they're wanting from it and what direction they want to go, because it really matters of how you're exercising and what exercises you do, the rep range, and um, how many sets and whatnot matters. Your rest periods matters. They're going to be different depending on which direction you want to go. So you can't just say like, oh, I need to start going to the gym again and just go do something. You need to have a goal in mind, or you need to have a direction that you kind of want to go. Otherwise, you're just going to stay in this no man's land, and you're going to kind of keep doing the same cycle over and over again.
Especially when you have such an intention and such a direction that you want. Like, sorry, like if you're like creating a program, granted, exercising and lifting weights is never really a waste of time, but if you have an agenda and then you're kind of just aimlessly going for it, you could be wasting time. And that's something that I've done in the past a lot, where I wanted to build out my legs or build out my glutes, but then it's like, okay, I'm saying build in both of those sentences, and then I was dropping my calories. Or like I was just focusing
Yeah.
on certain exercises, not the whole body. That's like, well, my weaknesses are here. Focus on the weaknesses. That, I don't know, I think just being a little bit more clear with yourself will help you, so then there's less stress later.
There's so many different examples of, what somebody may be looking for and what they're wanting to do, and then they start doing something that's completely opposite of what they should be doing. So I think that's kind of why we're doing this podcast, is to give you a little bit of a general direction that you should go if you have this goal or if you have that goal. Um, because yeah, like you said, you're trying to gain weight, or you're trying to put on size or whatever, and then your calories are at a deficit. And it's like, well, then it's definitely not going to happen that way. Or some people might be going in trying to get really chiseled and cut, but they're going in and pushing as much weight as they can, doing 5 repetitions and sitting in the same rep range that they have for the last 25 years type of thing. So I think that's kind of what this podcast is, or this episode's going to do, is show you what direction you can go for your goal a little bit more, specifically with resistance training.
Okay, so let's maybe pick like 3 or 4, maybe even, I mean, shoot, maybe not even that. Like goals, general goals that we typically hear a lot, and how would we maybe go about it? Granted, like we have our programs that you will get a specific outcome. We have the intention of a specific outcome, but when you're trying to write your program for yourself, you have to, or it's just easier to do this because it's you and you know what your tendencies are, you know what your fallbacks are, you know what you need to work on. That this is going to be very general. So also put yourself in these shoes too and
Mm-hmm.
figure out, okay, well, I could do a little bit more of that, or that doesn't really relate to me.
Yeah, because there's certain, like you said, it's general. There's certain specifics that you're going to need to figure out, and you're going to realize and understand, oh, I need a little bit more of this, I need a little bit more of that. But I think generally speaking, like 4 things you said, I would say 1 and 2 is like, I want to lose weight. Number 2 is I want to get bigger. I want to get more muscle. 3 and 4 could be kind of anything.
3 and 4, let's just throw a random one in there. Let's say 3, like exercise specific, like more of the skill. Like you're wanting to get better at your squat. You're wanting to bump up your numbers and maybe like the core 5. You're wanting to.
Yeah. Which that makes me think of, I think the next one should be like you want to build out a certain area, like your back, or you want your legs to get bigger, or you want your chest to, a specific area. So you have your exercise and then an area of the body that you want to change more.
Perfect. So let's start with the losing weight one, because I feel like that is probably the most common.
Probably the most common. The losing weight one, I think to begin with, the way that you're going to lose weight is by being at a calorie deficit. You have to burn more calories than you are consuming. That's the ratio. Now, you don't want that to be very spread apart. You don't want to be burning 3,000 calories a day and only eating 200 calories a day. You're going to burn out. It's not going to work. You're not going to survive doing that. That's just not the way to do it. You want those numbers to be fairly close. So if you're, burning about 2,500 calories, you want to be eating about 2,200 calories, or maybe even a little less, 2,100 calories. I think the main thing that I would focus on with that is kind of being around that 2,000 calorie consumption. You want to be able to eat a healthy portion, a good amount of food. That way your metabolism is still firing and it's still working really well. And then adjust your burning calories around that. You don't want to go, well, I want to burn 3,000 calories a day. So according to his math, I need to eat 2,800 calories a day. It's like, you may not need to eat that much to get the results you want. But you do have to kind of think about that aspect and manage that.
Diet is going to be a huge, like the half. It's going to be 50% of most of what we're going to be talking about. Maybe not the practicing your squat, but don't take what he just said also as he started out by saying you need to be in a calorie deficit. Don't take that as, oh, well, I need to go on a diet now. I need to only eat salads for every meal, or I need to take out a meal, or I'm going to do this intermittent fasting so that I can limit the amount of calories. You know, say something?
Yeah, and I would say this is probably true for every single category that we're talking about. Like for gaining weight, for the exercise specific, it's like you don't want to just all of a sudden stop and go to something else and start a diet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would say if this is you and you're wanting to lose weight, again, figure out your bullet points first. Ask yourself the questions, but that also means asking yourself, what am I doing now? Taking kind of a review of why you're maybe in this situation in the first place to why you want to lose weight, or where is your starting point. Figure out where your starting point is, then you know kind of what direction or where you need to go from there. I don't think you necessarily need to track your calories, but I would just be a little bit more aware of what you are consuming and how much you are consuming. And again, I'm going to say this, I'm not saying take out food. I am not saying to limit yourself. I'm saying maybe change your approach to eating. If you are someone that eats a lot of carbs and you are eating pizza twice a week and you're eating pasta all the time, and granted, I love carbs. I'm not shitting on carbs. Or you're having ice cream every night, doesn't mean you need to limit what you eat or limit how much you eat, but maybe switch those things out for more whole and natural foods so that you're still not having to go through this hunger phase. You're still filling and fueling yourself, but you're just giving yourself better quality fuel to be able to then push it in the gym harder, to be able to perform better, which is then going to get you the results. Same thing with the amount that you're eating. If you are someone that's eating only 2 times a day, or you notice that you probably are not pushing the calories that he is talking about, it's going to be really hard for you to lose weight, not only now, but especially long term, because there's only so much you can take away, that you want to rebuild your metabolism so that it can handle eating a shit ton of calories and still be able to stay lean and a low body fat percentage. You want to be able to use that fuel for building muscle, so then your muscle can then start burning the calories for you a little bit more, rather than you having to manually do it by taking away food.
Well, and I think the ideal way to do this and to get there, and this is true for all four of them, is you want to do this in a safe and consistent and productive way, to where when you get to where you want to be, you can basically just continue to do what you're already doing. That's why I say keep those ratios close. Keep the calories burned and the calories consumed close, because when you are losing weight and you're, maybe taking off a pound, and then it's 2 and then 3, and you're going and going and going, when you get to maybe it's a goal weight, or you get to the position that you're happy with and you want to switch it up and do something else, you haven't completely just depleted your body of any resource it has, any ounce of energy it has. And that's, again, true for all four of them. You want to do this so that it changes your life, not that you just lose weight. So it changes your life so that you can now take what you've learned and continue to go on and be healthy, and not like, well, I lost the 40 pounds and now I'm off the diet and I'm off the workout regimen, and now I've gained 10 back in the last month. It's like, we want to create the habits of, you're still going to the gym consistently. You're still eating what you should be eating consistently. Not this, like, you do the 75 days hard and you burn out, and then you're done. And then that's over with. And now you're back to where you were before those days, and can't keep up. It's these 30-day challenges, do this for a month. And it's like, that's not going to get you where you want to go. It's creating a regimen that you go, okay, I'm right here. I want to build something that I know I can do for the rest of my life and be good with. That's what the goal should be.
Mm-hmm. And especially when it comes to losing weight, if we're sticking to that category right now, exactly what he said. You want to keep the weight off. So don't do this diet to where, are you going to never be able to eat a carb again on this diet?
Right.
You're probably not going to be able to handle that. Are you never going to be able to have fats and proteins and sugars? That's not going to last. And then also, if you're restricting your calories, which is what a lot of people do when they think to lose weight, is they take all the food away, is then in the future, when you add a bowl of pasta, you're going to feel it way more than if your metabolism is working properly. I mean, our metabolism is so, and I would say not intelligent, but it is the most, like, what word am I looking for?
I don't know. It might be over there though. Intuitive?
No.
I don't know. I don't have my dictionary.
It's so difficult. Like our metabolism is like one of the craziest systems in our body, that it can do so much. It is sometimes can be fragile when we treat it as such and we kind of damage it, but it can be reworked and it can be strong and you can build it back up again. That should be your goal, is creating a good metabolism, making sure that you're able to properly burn calories and be able to have that give and take, so that when you are eating something, it's using it for fuel and not just fat storage. And then the same thing, you're going to do that by building out muscle. So getting maybe off of the diet part and more into the workout aspect of it. The other 50%, it depends on who I'm talking to. I think if you are someone that is just starting out, I would really prioritize practicing the movements. I would prioritize your mobility. I would prioritize, just getting comfortable with the main compounds, because that's where the bang for your buck is going to be, especially as you continue with this, like he said, forever and ever. But either way, like, focus on your mobility, but I would say full body movements. I wouldn't really get into specific splits right off of the bat. I would do full body during your workouts. Why is there a bug in here? And really focus on your compound lifts. So like squats, deadlifts, chest press, shoulder press. I think that's going to be really the movements that you should have a base of and have a clear understanding of and are going to use the most energy and are going to build the most strength as well. And if you are more of an experienced lifter, I would say really, I would focus on going into like maybe a strength phase with those lifts of pushing the weight.
I think yeah, all the things that you said. Full body exercises for sure, because that's where you're going to be burning the most calories. Which when we're talking about weight loss, that's kind of where you want to be, is burning as many calories as you can. So doing things like squats and deadlifts and all those ones we mentioned, that's what's going to do it, rather than you're just kind of sitting doing bicep curls. Like your heart rate's not getting up, your body's not working that hard, so it's not burning that many calories, to where when your body's working hard, it's burning more calories. Um, I think the first idea for a lot of people is to go do cardio. Um, and I would recommend to not go do that, because again, we're trying to build a body and a system that you can do forever, and you can do this program forever. You can do this just the way that you exercise and keep yourself healthy forever, to where cardio is just not really going to do that for you. And plus, when we talk about our life in general, is we don't really get tested cardio wise anymore. You know, maybe you're running around as a kid or you're in sports and all that kind of stuff, but most of us as we get older, we're not doing that anymore. We're more worried about functionality and being able to be strong enough and being able to, you know, walk till we're 95 and get up off the ground and do all that kind of stuff. Resistance training is what's going to do that. And the great thing about it is it's also going to help you lose weight too. Like, it's not cardio loses you weight and resistance training makes you stronger. Like, resistance training also helps you lose weight. So I definitely think resistance training is the way to go. And yeah, I would do full body exercises, full body workouts as well. Like you said, I wouldn't do the splits. I think getting into like the sets and rep ranges with that, the sets part really depends on how much volume you can do. This number can vary quite a bit depending on the person. I think typically the idea is, if you're going to do a lot of repetitions, you're probably not going to do as many sets as you would in the opposite direction of like, I'm going to do very little repetitions, so you kind of want to do more. So just quick math, it's like if you do 10 repetitions and you do that for 4 sets, that gives you 40 total repetitions. Well, now to match that 40 repetitions, you take, say you're doing strength stuff, you're going to do 5 reps of everything. Well, to get 40 repetitions out of 5 reps, you need to do 8 sets. So like there's quite a big difference there, just to get the same number of reps. So a lot of the times that's what the industry has done, or that is what's worked the best, is if you're going to do a lot of repetitions, you're probably going to be in a little bit lower of a set range. So, and especially with like what you said of learning the exercises and trying to get comfortable with them. And also, if we're talking about burning calories, you typically want to get to sit in higher rep ranges, like above 12, somewhere in the 15 range, maybe 20, because you're just going to be burning more calories that way. So then you're sitting more around maybe 3 to 4 sets of 15. But then again, it also depends on how many exercises you're doing. So you don't necessarily want to do that much if you're doing 10 different exercises. I wouldn't recommend doing 10 different exercises. I think that's probably excessive. But yeah, full body exercises, full body workout, and then probably a higher rep range is where I would be, at least initially.
I'm going to counter that. I'm going to say, I'm still going to stick with my do a strength phase. I would start with, maybe not starting with like a 5 to 7 rep range. I would maybe start with an 8 to 10 and then maybe move down to a 5 to 7. But I think the 15 to 20 rep range could get comfortable. Not like, I think there's benefits to both. I'm not going to like debate mine over yours. I think I'm just going to give an alternate plan. I think I would do a strength phase, because I think the more muscle you build, muscle is expensive. So it's going to take more energy to wither away and to be used because our body wants to go, well, no, I want it. I built it and it's expensive. I want to keep it. To where fat and all that, they're going to like, well, I don't really, wasn't that hard to make. Like I can get rid of it easy. So I think the more muscle that you build through a strength phase of, just putting on the weight, putting on the muscle, I think that will also continue to help build your metabolism and hopefully allow you to become even more hungry or be able to use the calories that you're bringing in for something. Not that the 15 and 20 rep range wouldn't do that, but I think it could just be a different approach.
Well, and here's the, I think, third option to all of that, and which is probably the most true, is like whatever you haven't been doing.
Yes.
Go to what, go to that. Whatever you haven't been doing. If you've been maybe resistance training for a little while and it's just not working for you or whatever, and you've been doing 15 to 20 reps, switch it up and go to like the 5 to 7 or go to lower. If you've been doing a bunch of strength stuff and that's what you've been doing, or maybe you've been sitting at this 10 range that's kind of right in the middle, maybe go to 5 and do that for a little while, or go up to 15, whichever. I would say do what you haven't been doing. And then, again, even more just general advice with that is like, do that for about a month and then switch up your rep range, and go to something else, because your body adapts to what you're doing. You get comfortable, your body gets comfortable. You probably notice you stop getting as sore and all these things. And that's kind of, there's signs that are showing you and telling you that, hey, we're slowing down. Maybe you're even not losing weight at the same rate as you were before. I think in general, the weight's going to come off quickly in the beginning and then slow up. But yeah, maybe do that for a month, and then switch it up. But simply what's going to get you there is consistency. It's just you not giving up and you continuing to go and continuing to do it. We could tell you all the rep ranges and all the set ranges and what exercise and this, that, whatever. What's going to get you to lose the weight is by just continuing to go and never quitting on it.
Yeah, that's one thing. I feel like that's why I suggested the strength, is because the person that I'm thinking of, like I'm thinking of all the moms and the ladies in my classes that they wanted to lose weight, and then they're, grabbing the 5 to 10 pound weights and doing 25 sets of everything, or 25 reps of everything. That it's not in our initial thought to like, well, I'm going to pick up heavy weights because then we still have it in our mind, well, that's going to make me bulky. I don't want to push the weight more. Like I want to slim down, so I need to do these tiny little whatever. That's another thing that I would tell them is like, don't do the diets, don't do all that. Like, don't push yourself with your diet, push yourself in the gym, push yourself with the weights, keep like adding more weight on and seeing how much you can do and pushing yourself in that way. And then let the food fuel you to be able to do that. Yeah.
Well, I think it's like what you said in the beginning too, of, do you really want to like get in this position where you're not allowed to eat anything and then you got to go work your tail off in the gym just to lose some weight? Like there's a better way to do it and a more sustainable way to do it. And I think people don't typically gravitate to that because it takes more time and people want it to be done quickly. But it's kind of like you have option A. This takes more time, but you get there. Option B, this takes less time and you might not, you might burn out, you might not. It's like, that's just way too risky to me. Do the one that you're going to get there and do it. It just takes a little bit more time.
Yeah. And when you do have a good working metabolism, it is worth it. I know that's hard to say if you're not there right now, if you're like, I feel like I need an apple and I gained 3 pounds. But if you can train your metabolism to be able to handle calories because you are also pushing it in the gym and you're using those calories, it's like, that's one of my favorite things is when I start to ramp up my weight lifting wise, and then I just start to get starving. Like I get so hungry, and then if I feed myself, and then I can just see my strength go up, I see my weight going up, and then my body starts and just gets tighter and tighter and tighter and more firm, and it's like, this is the dream. Like I can eat carbs and a shit ton of them and fats and pastas and I look better. It's like, that to me is like the goal that we all want to get to, is to be able to eat kind of more loose, or you consume a lot of calories and to be able to like maintain or even lose weight.
I think
or body fat, I should say, not weight.
I think a general thing too, and this can kind of go into all of these, and I feel like I'm ready to go on to the next one if you are. But I would say like right around 20 sets is probably a good number. 20 sets total for a workout. So that can consist of, 4 exercises, 5 sets each. It could be 5 exercises for 4 sets each. You could go, even more, 6 exercises for whatever the math is on that. I can't do it. But right around that 20 number. I think if you're starting a little bit lower than that, don't be discouraged. That's fine. Try to work your way up. If you feel like you're way above that and you're looking at that, analyze like how sore are you? Are you consistently going to the gym? Because those are going to tell you like, am I just getting discouraged of my workout because every time I go, I'm like, oh my God, I got to do 30 sets. That's way too much. So analyze that. But I would say a general number, again, general is 20 sets. So if you're looking at like putting a workout together, that's about the number I would say. But going into
Well, before we actually get into that, actually,
Mhm.
you also, if you take, and you're saying 20 sets of workout, correct?
Yes.
So that's one thing that I love when Mind Pump talks about too, is you could also, like, I don't know, also picking how many days a week you're going to go,
hmm
let that be in a consideration of how long term can I do this? So it's like 20, think of like, so say if it's 60 sets total in the week,
hmm
are you better with shorter workouts to where you want to do 10, 10, 10, 10 and do it multiple days in the week? Or you're like, I'm going to go in 3 days a week and do 20 sets.
Right. Right.
Figure
Right.
out a system that working with his numbers, how does that work scheduling wise?
Yeah.
That's going to work for you and long term work for you.
And like ability wise too, that 20 sets in one workout might be a lot for somebody, but spread over 2 days where
Mm-hmm.
you're doing 10 sets each, you might be okay.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, playing with how many days and yeah, if your body's able to respond and all that kind of stuff too.
But yeah, I'm ready to go on to the next one.
And I think people will kind of notice that these are all a little bit similar in the sense that like you kind of have to you have to mix it up. Like you can't just go, okay, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to do 20 repetitions of everything. I'm going to, go into calorie deficit and that's going to get me there, and you just do that over and over again. Your body's going to adapt, so you have to mix it up a little bit. Um, and I think that's where a lot of people have a problem with this next one of the trying to put on muscle or mass or size is they think that they can just eat more and lift more and that's going to get them bigger. To where what happens a lot of times is you top out and you can't lift anymore, you can't eat anymore, so you need to switch things up. Um, you kind of you need to make it so that your body has to adapt to something. So that kind of overlies in the first two at least, but getting into the putting on size, um, you're going to kind of do the opposite of trying to lose weight in a sense is you want your reps to be lower and you're pushing a lot of weight, you're putting on a lot of muscle mass, and you're eating more. You're at a calorie surplus. So you're eating more than you're burning. So you maybe do want to do like things like chest press where it doesn't expend as much energy or barbell rows and that sort of thing. You should definitely still be doing squats and deadlifts. But this is actually where you can still do full body workouts, but I would dabble a little bit in doing some splits.
Yeah, I think for me, a big split that I started doing when I was trying to build was I did like the upper body, lower body. Well, actually, I first started out just doing compounds. Or not compounds. I just did like what did I call it just earlier in this episode? It was like it was like the Fab Five exercises. But like just focusing on the bulk of where I can push the most weight. And that was for me like shoulder press, chest press, deadlifts. I don't even think I did squats for me. I think I substituted it for hip thrusts because getting into the next one of that was like a skill specific I wanted to get really, really strong at. And then I just focused on pushing the weight. I didn't do any accelerate work. Like this is not at the point when I'm doing leg curls and leg extensions and curls and tricep extensions or cable machine stuff.
Accelerate?
I knew that was wrong.
Is that a weird new
Accelerate.
version of celery?
No. Accessory. Accessory. When I said, I was thinking accessory in my head.
You say it weird.
Accessory?
Accessory?
That's why it sounds weird. Because I was thinking accessory. I was like, no, like necklaces? Like accessories? Accelerate.
No.
No.
Oh my god.
What is it? What is it?
Words are hard today, huh? Accessory?
Accessory.
It's an accessory item. Accessory lift.
Okay, wait, no, because we're saying it. We're saying the same word differently.
Accessory.
Accessory. What would you call like?
I'm not saying X.
How
Accessories.
Okay. I would say accessory.
Your earrings, accessory.
Accessories.
Yeah, you just got a different
Okay. Okay.
pronunciation.
But your
You got a different pronunciation.
sprinkle works. Your sprinkle exercises. Those are the ones that are like cherry on the top, kind of add more volume to your workouts. Those are not the ones that I would necessarily be doing at this time. I would really just unless what you're already doing are just squats, deadlifts, chest press, rows. If that's what you're doing, then I would just look to what exercises am I not doing, or what variations of those exercises am I not doing. If I'm always doing conventional deadlift, maybe I'm mixing in sumo deadlift for a couple of weeks and just really focusing on getting my strength up with that, or straight leg deadlift or whatever. But yeah, just like what can you push the most weight in? Those are the exercises that you're going to be doing.
I think a good example to show like the power of programming with this is between these two. Is it's like we've kind of told you to do the same exact thing for both losing weight or gaining weight. It's do the compound lifts, but now the way you program it is going to give you somewhat of different results. The strength person, the person trying to put on size, put on mass, is really focused on lifting as much weight as possible, really low repetitions, low rest or high rest periods, taking their time, to where the other person is sitting more in like higher repetitions. They're trying to go not have as many, have as long of rest period, but you're still doing the same exercises. So it's like you could have me trying to gain weight, you trying to lose weight, and we're doing the same workout. But when you step in to do the deadlifts, you're doing 15 reps, and then you need to rest for a minute and get back into it. I'm stepping in and I'm doing 5, and I'm barely getting up 5, and then I'm sitting down for 2.5 minutes and then doing my next one. So that is the power of programming, and why like you really have to pay attention of what you want and then have the direction you want to go, because you could be doing what you should be doing for gaining weight and you're doing it for losing weight, and it's just all over the place.
I'm going to push you even further. If we could do the same exact workout and go back to my theory of doing the strength phase, and we're both doing 5x5s or whatever, but you're doing, 50 to 100 calories over.
Yeah.
And I'm doing 50 to 100 under.
Yep.
To where I feel like we have done that in the past, where you are putting on size, kind of like we just said, like that scenario. And the only difference is like you're putting peanut butter in your protein shakes, or you're adding peanut butter to more things.
I've got peanut butter and milk, and you've got water.
Yeah. Like,
yep.
We could be just adjusting the diet that much to where it does make a difference. Not that I'm not eating, and not that you're eating McDonald's every day also.
Well,
we should get to that in a second, of bumping up the food, but doesn't need to be like the dirty bulk every single time you're trying to put on size. But yeah, good point. Like the power of compounds and the power of strength, and both of those will build strength, build muscle, and also food is your friend.
Yeah, food is gonna definitely, it's gonna dictate it a lot. Well, and I think like even just how this conversation is going, of like there's so many factors that are important, and you can't forget about each and every one of them. But again, the general is you're gonna be lifting a lot of weight. There's gonna be a lot of weight on the bar. You're sitting in lower repetitions. This is just what stimulates your body to build more muscle and put more muscle on and make you bigger and weigh more, is really pushing the strength part of your body. So sitting in a low rep range. Again, like I kind of alluded to it, you're probably going to take longer rest periods because you need to kind of conserve how many calories you're burning, and also because you're lifting a lot of weight. You need to let that ATP production to come back in so that you have the energy to go do it again and lift the same amounts of weight. If you were to do your max of 5 reps on the chest press and then you try to do it a minute later, you're probably not going to be able to get that same amount up. If you were to wait 2.5, 3 minutes, you probably can. So now that's what we want to do, is we want to be able to push as much weight as much as we can, as many times as we can. But then with this, you're typically going to have higher sets. Because you're only doing 5 repetitions, you need to still make sure that that volume is enough. So you're going to do maybe 5 sets, 6 sets, depending on where your volume has been in the past and what you can kind of handle. But that's typically where that ratio goes. 5 to 6 sets of 5. The other ones, 3 sets of 15 or 4 sets of 12. But yeah.
And this is where I would really, really, really emphasize your mobility.
Yeah.
Because your tendons and your joints are going to be put under a lot of stress and continual stress, that make sure that your kind of recovery is on point, your mobility is on point, so that you don't have to stop when you can feel like your strength is still there, but then your elbow starts to hurt.
Yep.
Or your shoulder. That's what happened to me. Like my shoulder press was crushing, but then like I would get a little tweak and a little pain, and then I'd have to chill out.
Yep.
It's like, don't let silly things like that, or like me, like grip strength, get in the way of you seeing your strength really go up and seeing the mass bit put on, and continue that progress, because the stupid stuff that we just don't put emphasis on.
Yeah. I think with this one, and to kind of, I don't think we need to talk about so much for, we talked about diet for the weight loss one quite a bit, but for this one, you alluded to it also with this, of like, people will kind of have this idea of like any calories are good calories because you're just trying to get as many calories in as you can type of thing. But again, it's just like the losing weight section. You want to keep these ratios somewhat close together. You don't want to eat so many calories and then not be burning enough to where like you just put on a lot of unnecessary weight and it doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. It's also just a bunch of body fat, which isn't good for you in general. You want to do this in a way it's sustainable. You're going to keep this muscle mass on, and also you're still going to look good and feel good during it. So now you're at a calorie surplus. You're adding more calories than you're burning, or at least that's the goal. So you're putting on weight. But you want these to be good calories. You want it to be healthy. You want it to be, because I think this is the part that people don't understand, or they maybe forget about or don't realize, is it's like you're using these for a purpose. So you want these calories to have a purpose. You go eat McDonald's just to get the calories, you're not going to be utilizing that stuff very well or very much at all, the nutrients from that, because there are no nutrients from it. To where you want to get the nutrients from good foods so that you can utilize them, so that it actually helps you in your progress and where you're going.
But this is where you can maybe push the carbs, push the fat a little bit more. It doesn't need to be just like, well, I need to load up on all the protein that I can get my hands on. Like, this is where you can have a little bit more wiggle room with the denser foods, like the carbs, the fats. But I would still pay attention to how your body's feeling. I'm going to go again with the mobility route. Is you are going to be pushing a lot of weight, which might cause a little bit more inflammation. So maybe watching how your body is translating with those foods too.
And I feel like what has really helped me with this area of doing this a couple times is the more stretching and the more mobility that I do, the further out I tend to like peak. I can usually get more out of my body, push the weight more for longer, because you're focusing more on recovery, and you're actually recovered going into each exercise. Or when you are putting on more muscle and you're getting stronger and whatnot, you're still keeping your ligaments and your tendons supple and working well. But then going back to the diet again, you got to kind of find ways to add healthy calories. If you're able to, dairy is a great way. Like Making smoothies is really awesome. You said it earlier, like adding peanut butter to protein shakes. If you do oatmeal in the morning, instead of doing water, use milk. There's a lot of little like tricks and tips in that sort of sense, but always try to stay on the healthy route.
Mm-hmm.
We're always going to preach that and say this on this podcast of like, there's no shortcuts. There's no cheating this. If you want to get the best results out of it, you got to do the best things, and that's exercising the best, eating the best foods, programming it the best way you can. So adding calories, but doing it in a smart way so that it's efficient and you're getting good stuff. You're not just adding fillers and a bunch of junk.
And don't push your body through things that it's not managing well. Like if you do start to feel pain in your joints, don't just go, well, who cares? I'm just going to keep pushing it. No, then you don't have to lower maybe your volume with your workouts, but you're definitely going to be upping your mobility. You're definitely going to be maybe holding off on the inflammatory foods. You're going to be watching what you're eating and how you're sleeping. You make sure that you get the rest in to be able to recover to then handle the heavy lifting sessions. And like you said, if you struggle with dairy, there's always alternatives to most things. Like what my dad is doing. Like he doesn't really do dairy all that much, but he'll do like oils and like coconut oil that's still really fatty, or not olive oil, like avocados or things that are a little bit more dense, and you can just Google it.
Yeah, higher calorie things and just trying to stay in that whole natural food area. But there's a lot of healthy options to add more calories for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think something that you just brought up is a good thing to point out for like whether you're losing weight or any of the things. To prolong that peaking is doing what you were talking about, like listening to your body. If something is starting to hurt maybe, or maybe you're not losing as much weight anymore, or you can't handle like going to the gym that much or whatever, you have to analyze all the aspects of your life, your sleep, your recovery, your exercising, your diet. And if you're in the boat where it's like, well, I don't want to go to the gym less, I want to keep doing the same volume I am, but I want to speed up my recovery, or I want to fix this ailment in my shoulder. You don't have to necessarily go to the gym less. You just got to look at the other aspects. Maybe you need a little bit more sleep. Maybe you need to look at your diet and see, okay, is there inflammatory foods that I could cut out to see if that helps? Do I just need
hydrating?
Am I hydrating? Am I not hydrated enough? Do I need to stretch a little bit more and put more emphasis on that? Do I need to do more mobility? There's other factors that you can look at to fix that issue, and then you don't have to cut out your time of going to the gym. You know, if you're really goal specific and you feel like this is the amount I need to do, look at those other factors and maybe try to switch things up there to see if that fixes your problem, rather than just like, oh, I guess I can't go to the gym, 3 days a week. Or even worse, you just continue to push through it and it doesn't go anywhere, or it goes worse.
No, because you want to think of your body as it's trying to just continually create balance and a homeostasis. If your muscles are getting too big for the joints and the tendons, they're going to go, nah.
Yep. It's going to slow down.
It's not going to happen, because they're going, unless you build me out and unless you make sure that I am strong enough to handle this, I'm not going to let you just continue to grow, because I won't be able to have you walk normally. I won't be able to have you hold the weight, because your elbows or your knees are going to get jacked up, or your ankles are going to give out.
Which I think this is exactly why, like what I said earlier, the best or the longest point till I peak out has always been if I'm doing more stretching and more mobility, because I'm consistently helping my body balance and getting it back to a homeostasis. I'm doing all of the things. I'm putting on a lot of muscle, but I'm also stretching a lot so that it can stay in balance, and then that prolongs when I end up peaking out.
And again, just the quality versus quantity thing. If you feel like I can only get to the gym for an hour or whatever, then you are maybe taking 10 minutes of that hour out of your lifting to do these things. Or
totally.
Before you go to bed at night or whatever. This is how I would program is mobility before your workout, stretching afterwards.
Yep.
But yeah, if you need the give and take, make sure that you are taking the time to do that. And even if it is because you're doing one less set or you're doing one less exercise, it is going to help you long term.
And I would say
not even long term, right now.
Yeah. I would say the 10 minutes of mobility and the 10 minutes of stretching is more important than the than you doing a fifth set versus a versus fourth set. Yeah. I would do the 4 sets and get your mobility and stretching in. I think that's going to give you greater benefits and prolong that peak out time versus not doing those things and doing a fifth set. I don't think that fifth set is going to help you as much. And if you take it like you're doing 5 exercises a workout and all of them have a fifth set, you take all of those out, you're taking 5 sets out. That's definitely 20 minutes worth of time. So then you can split it up 10 and 10 with your mobility and stretching.
And that's the same thing with the food. If you feel like, oh, well, it's going to be hard for me to get that many calories in with healthier foods, or like you get fuller off of healthier whole foods than you do at fast food. So that will be something that you might need to gradually uptake and like build that level of calorie that you're going to get every day. That maybe that's something that you would have to force yourself to eat. But again, longer term, if you took 2 people and you're doing the same workout, but one of them is eating crappy food and the other one is eating whole food, you're going to look way different at the end.
Yeah.
Just like your skin is going to look different. The quality of your muscle, you're going to look denser and tighter and just, you can just tell the difference. Like it just seems like, oh, that's going to last. That is tight and compact, where this is kind of like you're just bigger. Like kind of like the skinny fat thing, but even just at a larger scale. You're
going to feel different and you're going to last longer, or it's going to be a difference in how long each of those people last too.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for that one. I think I'm good on that one if you are. Moving on to the next one, like exercise specific. Like if you're wanting to get good at your squats, let's just use that as the example. But you could do this for really any exercise. The first thing that for me comes to mind is don't drop everything and just only do squats. You still have to do all of the other exercises. And in fact, it's going to benefit you more. And actually you're going to get more production and what's the word I'm looking for? More, maybe it's over there. You're just going to get better results from doing a balanced workout still. The thing that you would maybe do is just program squats in your workout more often. I think most people kind of split it up so that they aren't doing the same things over and over again, to where like right now in our program, or the program that is kind of more for me because we do the same thing and I'm trying to put on size. Chest press happens twice a week because I want to make sure that I am getting better at my chest press. So you'd kind of do the same thing if you're doing it for squats, trying to put in more frequency so that you're practicing it more, you're doing it more, not necessarily like I'm going to go in and do 10 sets of squats today and then I'm going to do it on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. Just more frequency of that exercise.
Yeah, and I think whether you're just wanting to get better at the movement, you're wanting to get more full range, you're wanting to put up your numbers a little bit more, all of it is going to stem from the quality of how you're doing it. And just like any other skill, it's a skill. Lifting is a skill. So breaking down the intricacies of it, and that could potentially also be looking into, well, what am I doing either wrong or weird, or where's my sticking point? Because then you can maybe even identify, what do I need to work on? Not just like, well, do I just do a bunch of what I've already been doing? Because I think that goes into the practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent, or somewhat too. That if you just keep practicing the same thing over and over again, if you want to get up, have more strength, but you just keep practicing it with crappy form, that's going to teeter out eventually anyways. So maybe identifying what you're wanting to get to, so then you know what to fix. Like for example, for me with my squats, I can never feel it in like my glutes or my hamstrings. Well, I needed to figure out, okay, is it just putting more weight on? No, not really. Is it my range of motion? No, I'm going all the way down. But when I'm all the way down, am I able to sit into my heels and press from there with keeping my chest up? No. Okay, well then there's my problem. I need to work on my mobility, figuring out maybe, and through tests that we have on our YouTube, figuring out what maybe your mobility issue can be, and then you can work on that so that now I know what I'm practicing. It's not only squats that I'm practicing, but it's the mobility to be better at my squat. Or Lost my train of thought.
But I think that's the point. Like you're trying to get better at exercise. You have to analyze it from all angles. Am I pushing the weight enough to where I'm actually getting progress out of it? Am I being scared of it? Maybe I need to put more weight on and do it. Mobility. Is there mobility issues where I'm not able to do this exercise with, great form or getting the most out of it because my form isn't good? So working on the mobility of it, stretching more in those areas. Um, there's those three things is probably where I would start with. Is like frequency, make sure you're mobile, and practicing the mobility. Even if you are good at it, still practice the mobility and do it more. Like you want to get better at this lift, you have to just kind of put all of your focus onto it and take more time with it. So if it's like, even if you're after your workout or before your workout, you're just going and sitting in a squat position, and maybe you're kind of doing just body weight squats and really trying to feel, okay, where's the tension being built at each point of the squat,
Mm-hmm.
and just working on all of those different phases. I'm building tension all the way down in my hamstrings, and I'm building tension on the way up in my quads, and my glutes are coming in halfway through on each of those. And like, you're just focusing on the lift more. So you have to practice it and do it more.
And that's like what it can be fun about doing this, but also can seem overwhelming. Is don't so like just do it every once in a while. It doesn't need to be like a part of your everyday, or I need to like be pushing the weight while I'm perfecting it or while I'm getting better at it. It's like focus on one thing at a time. Like take the movement and dissect it. Go through with a fine-tooth comb and go, okay, well, what every part of this lift, what do I, like you said, what do I need to focus on? Or like, okay, I'm not putting up my weight, but I feel like I'm pushing it. Then if you break it down, you can kind of analyze more where, like I said, where the issue is, where you need to fix. But it could be something so random. Like for me, like we figured out, like I go way too fast on the down and then I pause.
Mm-hmm.
So where my difficulty is I need to be able to get out from the pocket. I need to be able to have force and production down there. So I need to work on just sitting down and being able to produce force from there. I don't need to really practice the going down or even the going up, but just those 2 inches right from at the bottom. That's what I need to practice. But I don't know, kind of going at it with just a little bit more, just like breaking
You're
it down.
not just like the other exercises where you go in, you know how to do this, you do it, and you're done with it. Like you are putting more emphasis on it. You're doing more mobility work for it. You're doing more stretching for it. When you're doing the exercise, you're paying attention more. You're into it more. You're doing it on the side a little bit more. You're changing the tempo to see if that changes things. Like maybe you're doing the squat and you notice that every time I come down into the pocket and I start to go up, right there is where I stick, and then I slowly move myself back up. So now you're going to try to do squats differently. Maybe you start from the bottom position and you push up from there rather than doing the full coming all the way down, all the way up. You're just putting more time and effort into it. But I wouldn't just do it more kind of thing. And I think that's what
Right.
you're saying too. Like you have to look at all of the different elements.
Yeah, you want to be improving the exercise, not just doing more of it and creating more volume. Because, like I said, practice does not make perfect. That's another thing that filming yourself can be really helpful, or having someone else film you, because I think we're not as connected to our bodies as maybe would be ideal. Or it's just like, it feels good for me, but when I see myself do it, I don't even realize that I was having those issues. That filming yourself from multiple angles could be helpful, because then you can kind of have just a separate eye of what is happening versus what it feels like.
I think for me, to give something maybe more practical that you could use, whenever I try to do this of like, okay, I want to focus on my squat and I want my squat to get better. So now all of my leg days would be built around the squat then. So I would come in and do like my mobility or my warming up. I would do my squats, and sometimes I would take time before to like really, okay, what am I working on or focusing on today? Oh, I tend to lean forward into my toes a little bit too much, so I'm really going to focus on sitting back into my heels all day long. So I do my squats, and now I'm not done. I still have to do the rest of my leg workout because maybe it's your quads that are underdeveloped and that's what's holding you back. So you still need to do that. Or maybe it's your hamstrings or glutes or whatever it is. So now I go through my workout and everything in my workout now, my intention is this is to help my squat. This is to help my squat. So I go and do lunges and I'm focusing on, this is to help my squat. I'm going to focus
Mm-hmm.
on my quads in these lunges to build them so that my squats are better. And then you go do your leg extensions and you're same thing. You're focusing on the squats. You do your hip thrusts, same thing. Like you're just constantly thinking about this is helping the squats and I'm doing this for my squats. So then when you come back in, you do it again the next day. Hopefully you've gotten a little bit better at things. Maybe your quads are now stronger or you're sitting back in your squat a little bit better. Like you're just making everything about this exercise. There's maybe nothing like, super scientific about it, but it's just my intention is I'm always thinking about that exercise and how can I make it better? Well, maybe I need to do more lunges. Maybe I need to switch up my lunges and do them differently. Maybe I need to do more leg curl or leg extension. But it's just like I just obsess over it. I make
Mm-hmm.
everything about that one exercise so that at every point in the workout, I'm thinking about it and trying to figure out the issues or just get better at it.
Well, that's why squats, I think, is a great example, is because there is so much going on. And that if you are wanting to get better at this, seeing it as a skill, so you want to, like I said, you're going to break it down at every point. That going even outside of what you even would think of, okay, now I'm going to squat, so I must have to be a leg thing. No, maybe your core sucks and you
Right.
don't have the core strength to be able to hold yourself up. Maybe it's your shoulder mobility. Maybe your legs are great. You do 99, you're like, no, this is fine. My hips are great. My ankles are great. I'm in a line. I can go all the way down, but I can't really lock out with the bar here because my shoulder mobility needs to be worked on. So it just like taking the full body, taking the mechanics of the movement, it could be something so random. Or not random. It's not random, but it could be something even outside of
Outside of the body part or
what you
that
would think.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the general thing with that is like if you're trying to make an exercise better, it's just like anything. You put your focus onto that, but that doesn't mean everything else stops. But it's just you're focusing on the squat now. So when you go in and do maybe an upper body day or something like that, you're not you're just doing the upper body day and you're not super focused on it. But when you come to legs, you are dialed in and this is my focus. This is what I'm trying to do for like just it very intently. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the next one if you are.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
The next one is if you're wanting to build out a specific area, specific
Yeah.
body part, or like I want my upper body to be bigger, or I specifically want my rear delts to pop a little bit more, how you would maybe program it.
Yeah, I think with these last two are kind of similar, just like the first two were.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's focus. You're putting a focus on, say it's your back. You want your back to be better, whether it's aesthetically or strength wise. You're just focusing on the back more. So again, like what I was just saying about the squats, you're making your workout. You're building it around the back. The back is the focal point. This is where I'm putting all my focus and attention, and then everything else around that is just going to kind of fill the gaps. Um, but I think one of the major things for me would be variety. If you're looking at a muscle group like the back, you want to have a lot of variety so that you can get just the strength and the aesthetic of all of it. You don't want to do just the same exercise over and over again.
And this is where diet is not going to play a large portion. I think if you're going from either
Right.
building or, going back to the two that we were talking about, analyze what you're eating because maybe you're under eating and that's why nothing is building. But this is really where the programming and the variety of the exercises you're doing, the volume of the exercises, the frequency that you're doing it, sets and reps doesn't need to be super specific, but I would just say it's what are you not doing and then switching it up because you just, again, that changing the stimulus, giving it something else to overcome.
That's another area of building variety. the sets and the reps. You
Mm-hmm.
know, do it in this set and rep range for a little while, then do it in a different one, and then do it in a different one. Again, building variety even in that.
Yeah. In a little while, I think we could be more specific with that too. Because some people be like, so you like every workout you're mixing it up. I would stick with it for maybe a week or a week and a half or 2 weeks or 3 weeks,
Yeah, probably
2 years,
longer.
whatever.
A little while.
A
That's why I
little
said a
while,
little
a
while.
little while.
No, maybe like 3 weeks. Do like 3 weeks of a certain rep range and set range, and then after 3 weeks, mix it up and go to a different.
And you analyze too what exercises you're doing. We all have our favorites and ones that we
Yep.
gravitate towards. So try something different or focus on something a little bit different. Like for me, I know like when I was building out my glutes, like I hated doing like lunges or even
Mm-hmm.
certain squats. And that's like I started doing those and putting more focus onto it. And it's just like I didn't have that strength in that area. So then it helped me get better at even the lifts that I was prioritizing. But something like that of building out your back. Another thing I would bring up is analyzing the structure of your body and going back to like kind of your anatomy and figuring out what muscles are running where, what muscles are going to be built by doing what, because then you can kind of be a little bit more picky choosy with, well, it's not necessarily I want my whole back to be bigger or fuller, but I want to be wider, or I want to have a little bit larger shoulder caps or whatever. Then you can kind of pinpoint more what you're needing to put extra focus on rather than just like, well, I'm just going to do all the back exercises that I know.
I think something to point out with this too is if you're gonna mix up the sets and the rep ranges, I would do it for all other parts of your body as well. Because one thing that could help, or if you're going for more aesthetic or strength actually, um, is you want the body working in unison in some way. In that way, that you know, if your chest looks bigger, your back's gonna look bigger. If your abs are more cut, it's gonna make everything else look more cut. So it's like everything kind of works together in that way. Um, so you don't want to be kind of doing opposite stimuluses of, well, I'm in the 15 rep range for my back, but I'm doing 5 for my chest. You're kind of you're sending mixed signals that um, you maybe not really go anywhere with that then, because your body wants to adapt and change together, to where if you're doing it in differences, it's not really going to adapt or change at all.
And I'm kind of continuing with what you're saying with that is not just putting all of your focus onto the one thing. You know, like I feel like people, maybe like guys, like they always want to build their upper body. Girls always want to build their lower body, and then they never
Right.
focus on the opposite. To where,
Right.
like I said, with the whole tendons and the mobility, your body wants to be balanced. So your upper body is only going to get so big because then they're going to go, well, my legs, it's not going to be able to handle much more up top, or vice versa. So
Yeah.
it's wanting you to look normal and balanced. So
Yep.
focus on having your workouts be balanced and maybe just putting a little bit more emphasis on the area that you want to grow or whatever change, but don't neglect everything else still.
And if you're focusing on the back or whatever body group, my intention or my focus would be, I'm trying to build frequency. So I'm trying to work on my back as many times as I can, like during the week or during the month, however you kind of schedule your thoughts out in that way. I'm trying to build volume. So I'm trying to add more and more to my back exercises, whether that's in the sets, or in how many days I'm going or how many exercises. And then just trying to get better at whatever like domain you're working in. You know, are you trying to get it stronger? Then I'm trying to get it stronger. I'm pushing the weight and I'm trying to get it stronger. Or am I trying to get more chiseled? Then I'm like doing my best to really really pump the muscle and get as much out of it as I can, get as many contractions in as I can, and all that kind of stuff. Really squeeze it every time I do my rep. So frequency, volume, and just basically effort. Just making sure I'm putting the effort in. My focus is there, so my effort's going to be there.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
And I think more general advice or knowledge to give out of going more into the sets and the reps is just mainly more the reps. The strength phase, you're kind of working in that like 5 to 8 rep range. Your hypertrophy, you're kind of working in that 8 to 12, maybe 15. And then when you're working more on like muscle endurance, you're kind of 15 and above, 15 to 20, I would say. So again, just using those rep ranges to kind of program in the direction that you want to go. But again, for all of them, where you're going to elicit the most change is by doing what you're not already doing. So if you're in a strength phase, maybe go all the way to the muscle endurance area and go high repetition. If you're there, do the opposite of that. For me, I've noticed the safest way to kind of do that is to work your way down into it, because if you go from only doing 15 repetitions to now doing 5, the weight discrepancy is pretty large that your body might not be able to handle that much weight that quickly. So it might be better to go to like 10 for a little bit to get used to that. Maybe for 2 weeks do 10 reps and then go to 5, just so you
Sure.
you get a little bit more of an ease into it rather than this aggressive jump. I wouldn't be so worried going the opposite way. If you're in 5 reps and you want to jump up to 15, I wouldn't be as worried about that because you're not lifting as much weight and there's not that danger of something going bad because of the weight. 15 rep range, you can handle the weight, you're pumping the muscle. There's not as
There's more of a burnout rather than like I physically cannot lift this weight.
right, and not as scary or damaging that way.
I like that advice because I think I would maybe suggest going right to the 5 to 7 for more experienced, because maybe they know like it's going to take me a couple workouts to figure out where my weight is at. But then it's kind
Could
of
be,
like,
yeah.
I like the sticking with between the, like the 10, maybe like the 8 to 10 first though, because then you are so getting use of those workouts, I guess.
Yeah, and you're used to the weight a little bit, and kind of like what you said, you're feeling out like how much weight should I even do? Because that happens a lot of time. If you're doing something new for the first week, it's like, well, shit, I don't even know what weight to grab here. I haven't done this rep range in a long time, so you're kind of figuring that out to begin with. But I like to go to that kind of middle area just for safety reasons. And like I said, you're not doing a full month of it or 2 months of it. You're doing maybe 2 weeks just to get used to pushing a little bit more weight, and then you can drop down to a little bit heavier is what I would recommend.
Cool.
Yeah, other than that, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, so like what we said at the top, like it, subscribe to it. We'll probably put the next video is to my review video or to my vlog. We are going to be dropping the Evolution Nutrition review video, and this will be like just some
We're
fun
dropping it.
workouts with that.
We're dropping it, so you pick it up.
Yeah. But other than that, keep sending us your questions and what you want us to talk about. We're liking that, and we want to help you guys. That's what this thing is for. So
Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. You said that, but follow our Facebook page and our Instagram. Facebook page, The Hub Fitness. Instagram, @thehub_fitness. I know you're not listening to me. You're just looking at what it says on the screen anyways, but I got to say it. Other than that, peace out, Girl Scout.